LSU is the third SEC team to cut ties with their head coach. Should Auburn be the fourth? Welcome on into the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. I'm your host, Mike G. Turn us up, turn us on, turn it out. I'm here with my good friend Caesar Walker to talk a little Auburn football. On today's show, we're talking coaching changes, potentially or not. Big news as we're recording this. Lots of folks reporting, ESPN dropping the news that LSU has informed Brian Kelly that they intend to move on. $54 million is the buyout, Caesar, for Brian Kelly. Let's go over his resume real quick for the show. SEC West title in year one, 2 10-win seasons, 1 9-win season. What was it? 34-14 record.
34-14 was his record.
And they said, you know
Heisman Trophy winner. You left out Heisman Trophy winner.
Yes. And a Heisman Trophy winner in Jaden Daniels. And they said, you know what? Not good enough. Now, you know I am a certified Brian Kelly hater. I think he sucks as a human being, and he killed a guy. However, LSU thought he was good enough to lead their program, and he is currently in year 4 and may not get looks like he's not going to get the opportunity to finish year 4. The standard, I think what it says to me is that the standard for the Tigers down in Baton Rouge, down in Death Valley, is championship or bust. Are Auburn standards too low? That's what we're going to talk about on today's show. Are Auburn standards too low? Hugh Freeze in his 3rd year, and maybe could be limping in to a 6-6 record in year 3, or possibly an 8-4 record, or somewhere in between 7-5. We've had the discussion on this very channel about whether 7-5 would be fire-worthy. I felt like everything should be on the table at 7-5. I said that at media days. I'm gonna say that now. I think everything should be on the table at 7-5. If you want to take it off the table, he's got to win out. That means win the last 4. And at 8-4, we can take firing off the table. But I'm gonna add a caveat to that. 8-4, and you need to hold this roster together. Because reports are Cam Coleman is unhappy. Some other players are unhappy. Caesar, all the resources are there at LSU. I think we can, and they're a program that has won a championship and produced a couple Heismans since 2019. What do you think, man? Like, should Auburn be following suit? Could they learn something from LSU here?
To put some things in context here, yes, LSU standards are high. Brian Kelly was not well liked down there. I think there's another part of that we have to put in context here. Mike, you have worked in corporate America, and you know that there are people, when you're not well liked, it really comes down to how well you perform. You've seen that in corporate America, and it happens everywhere else. If you're being a head coach of a major SEC program, you're more than just X's and O's. You're a politician at this point, right?
Yeah.
The money people, the fan base, alumni, you have to be able to rub shoulders with these people. And if you rub them the wrong way, Mike, what you do on the field matters even more. Okay. Yes, the standard is high at LSU because the last few coaches have won championships within year 4 there.
Ed Orgeron won a championship there.
The Mad Hatter won a championship there. Nick Saban won a championship within year 4.
That's true.
And you got booty blasted in year 4 by A&M at home at night in Death Valley in a game in which fans were already rumbling about wanting to get you up out of there.
Yeah.
You just made it much easier for them to do that, and it happened. Now, to get back to your question about is Auburn standards too low, let me bring you back to 2 years ago. There's this thing that you heard called alignment. You remember that, Mike G?
Alignment.
We have alignment, right?
Okay.
The AD is on board with Hugh Freeze. The money people is on board with Hugh Freeze, right? Everybody is on board with Hugh Freeze, right? That's all well and good as long as the coach is winning. The problem, Mike G, you asked, is Auburn standards too low? Yes, the standards are too low because when the people who make the decisions are happy, it becomes less about wins or competing for championships at that point. It seems the standard is let's get a guy that we're all on board with and give him all the grace and resources that money can buy.
Mm-hmm.
Come hell or high water, win or lose, we're aligned. That sucks because Auburn should have been moved on at this point. Because again, if your LSU is this acceptable, if you're Georgia fired Mark Richt.
Yeah, a lot of 9-win seasons.
Mark 9-win season Richt. Georgia said, nah, not good enough.
No, but not before they gave him like 8 years though to qualify.
They gave him a while for sure.
Yeah,
but my point is they have a standard. LSU clearly has a standard. Bama has a standard. These major programs have a standard. What is Auburn's standard at this point?
I think that's a question that we have to answer, right? Like, is this where we finally decide what the standard is? Because let's be clear here. While you raised a good point about the last previous coaches all winning championships, right? Ed O won the championship. Who was after him? Was it Brian Kelly came after Ed O?
He came after Ed O.
Okay, yeah. Les Miles won one, Nick Saban won one, and these are all since the 2000. I mean, they're one of 5 SEC teams to win national titles since 2000. Auburn is one of those teams. But at Auburn, if you go back over that same stretch, Tommy Tuberville turned in an undefeated season. Gene Chizik turned in an undefeated season and a national title and a Heisman, got fired. Gus ran Auburn to a national title. I mean, it felt like there was a standard, that there was an expectation that you had to win. And you had to win fairly quickly because there were a lot of resources at Auburn. However, with the hiring of Brian Harsin, it seems that the standard maybe has changed some. And they thought that they were getting back to that with Hugh Freeze. Hugh Freeze sold that it starts with recruiting. I got to go out and I need the resources to recruit. Give me the money. I'll go get 5-star player after 5-star player. I'll go get dogs at wide receiver. I'm going to find a quarterback because that's what we do. We turn programs around quickly and we develop quarterbacks. We're in year 3, and I can confidently say neither one of those things has happened. So how much?
I question if it will happen under this.
Right. Yeah. Well, how much longer do you give this experiment? Because as we mentioned, Brian Kelly won immediately. And he's having a bad year, and they are ready to move on. Now,
and mind you, a bad year is your 5-3. That's bad. Again, standard, right? This is standard. You're 5-3, and we're talking about canning this coach. They were talking about firing him at 5-2, Mike.
This headline is incredible.
If you fired the guy the next day after going 5-3, it's been on your mind, right? You're just waiting to find out when I need to pull the trigger. You were talking about firing this guy after he lost to Vandy. Let's just be real. You get blown out against A&M in Death Valley at night, and they pull the trigger, which means at 5-2, LSU was already mulling over this decision.
Yeah. Their wins, they opened up against number 4 Clemson. They on the road. They won. They beat Louisiana Tech and Florida subsequently. And then Southeast Louisiana, they're 4-0. They lose to number 13 Ole Miss by 5 points. They beat South Carolina by 10. They lose to Vandy by 7. And then they lose to Texas A&M here by 14, 49-25. So that's the worst loss of the bunch. I almost feel like something else had to be going on here. because in 2 of the 3 losses, you lost by 7 or less, and 2 ranked teams. 2 of them,
Like the bottom fell out
yes, like
with this
2.
team. Like he lost the locker room, maybe.
Yeah, something else has to be going on. 2 of these 3 losses are to teams currently ranked in the top 10. Vanderbilt at 9, and what's Ole Miss, like top 5 at this point?
Yes. Well, I don't know. They definitely top 10. Definitely top 10. I don't know if they're top 5, but
They're
definitely top
7.
10.
They're 7 in the country. You lost to number 9 and number 7 by a total of 14 points.
As you said, we're definitely living in the upside down.
Or 12
We're
points.
definitely living in the upside down.
Yeah,
I listen. Again, this man was not well liked. He
yeah,
really
I'm sure
wasn't.
that had something to do with it. Would not be surprised if we hear a story later about something else that went on here, Caesar, that attributed to this debacle for LSU. But I mean, not
And
making the
he was
playoffs
a
in
bad
4
fit
years.
too. He was a bad fit for them when you
Yeah,
really think about it.
yeah, it's hard though, man. It's hard to say that a guy that started his tenure at LSU with 2 straight 10-win seasons is a bad fit. Like, winning is never a bad fit. And
Sure,
I mean, he could win out and finish 9-3. I mean, let's be honest, there were 2 more wins left on this schedule. So at worst, they would be 7-5 if they split their last 4.
sure.
But they had a chance to get 3 out of the last 4, and they'd be an 8-win team with, uh, they still got a top 5 win on this schedule.
But
Yeah,
again, you have to be a really bad coach to mess that up,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So,
And
something's going
obviously,
on here.
yeah, and then so when I say he's a bad fit, I mean he never embraced that community
Mm.
like how he should have. Again,
Well,
it's almost kind of like Brian Harson esque,
yeah.
but he actually started off winning. Like that's how I look at it. Like, and again, it happens at Auburn. Clearly, it's happening at LSU. When you don't embrace that community like you should, it truly comes down to whether or not you can get LSU in the playoffs. And he had yet to achieve that. And once it became evident that they wasn't going to do it this year, they cut ties.
Well, is Hugh Freeze a bad fit for Auburn? We'll talk about that next after a quick word from our sponsors, our friends at Abel's I Know More and Associates. Caesar, most firms won't even talk to you unless you have a certain amount to invest, but Abel's I Know More and Associates takes a different approach. There's no minimum. You can get a complimentary review of your portfolio or retirement plan before you ever become a client. Why no minimums? Because AMA doesn't measure relationships by how profitable they are. Many clients that don't meet minimum requirements at other firms are the exact people that need the most guidance, and AMA is committed to making a difference for each of their relationships. It's all about honest fiduciary guidance from a team that has been serving clients for more than 20 years. Call AMA at 912-777-4128. Scan the QR code on the screen or visit amainc.com. Advice built for real life, not just the wealthy. The War Report has been compensated by Abel's I Know More and Associates for this endorsement. Abel's I Know More and Associates is a SEC registered investment advisor. Registration as an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training. I want to thank our friends at Sky Tobacco and Vape. Ever run out of vape juice at 10 p.m. and think, well, I guess I'm suffering? Nah, not with Sky Tobacco and Vape. These folks got more locations than the Waffle House. Columbus, Phoenix City, they're everywhere. Whether you're on the thruway, the bypass, or just lost with bad directions, Sky Tobacco and Vape is probably 10 feet away. They've got vapes, tobacco, and deals so good you'll swear they misprinted the price tags. Sky Tobacco and Vape, good vibes, great deals, and zero judgment if you walk in wearing your pajama pants. I want to thank our friends at the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com. Use code REPORTER to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life, the Rogue Shop has something that has you covered. Again, get in there, use code REPORTER to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Last but certainly not least, I want to thank our friends at the Vibe Vault. You can find them at 3462 Crosswinds Road, Suite E in Phoenix City, Alabama. Get fresh for the weekend with the Vibe Vault, not just barbers, lifestyle consultants. Is Hugh Freeze a good fit for Auburn at this juncture? Recruiting has been good. 2026 recruiting falling off, but as I mentioned, I think 8-4. Let's get to year 4. Four losses gets you to year 4. but hold this recruiting class together and make sure that you have a bona fide quarterback for year 4 as well. Look, Hugh has not done well at anything outside of recruiting, if you ask me. And I say he has not done well at anything. I'm speaking only of the side of the ball that he's responsible for, which is the offense, because the defense has been pretty good to awesome all 3 years. They were dogs under Ron Roberts, and they've been really, really good under DJ Durkin. And I would argue that this is the best defense that we've seen since 2019, and these guys might even be a little better.
That's saying a lot. That's saying a lot, but it's good. It's really good.
Well, the results speak to it. I'm telling you, I was impressed with how they were able to limit Arkansas, the SEC's #1 offense, on Saturday to well below a lot of their averages, almost all of their averages. And they won the game by multiple scores because the defense pitched in a score. I can't help but think, though, that the offense is as good as it's going to get. It feels like it's as good as it's going to get. Now, Ashton Daniels came in and moved the ball, which was a good sign for Auburn. But we got a press conference tomorrow, and I'm going to ask Hugh Freeze about whether or not he has moved on from Jackson Arnold permanently.
Why is he making this? Hugh Freeze is making this a controversy.
Yeah. Well, look, man, you handed him the job.
It's pretty cut and dry at this point, Mike.
We handed him the job in the offseason. You didn't run you didn't run a quarterback competition, and it just has. And then you went away from him for poor play. Yeah, they finally benched. The pick six was finally enough to get Jackson Arnold on the bench, and then you won the game behind Jackson Arnold's benching. So with Ashton Daniels and Deuce Knight left, how do they manage this? I don't know, man. I think that if he can't get quarterback right, he is a bad fit for Auburn. Because, as we mentioned on our live yesterday, every time Auburn has been able to get quarterback right, they've been in the conversation for championships. Every time. So, that's what he was hired to do. I don't know. I think that this, our guy SEC Mike essentially said that he felt like, he said coming into the season that Jackson Arnold was the biggest boom or bust player in the SEC. And then he quote tweeted himself saying, I think Jackson Arnold's about to get Hugh Freeze fired.
The question is Hugh Freeze a good fit for Auburn? I'm going to answer your question with a question. How long do you want this segment to be? It can be a minute. It can be, we can stretch this out, Mike, because it's a pretty quick, easy answer to whether or not Hugh Freeze is a good fit. Hugh Freeze has a losing record as Auburn's head coach versus Brian Kelly having a 34-4. How many Auburn fans? Let's take it. I would love to do a poll. How many Auburn fans would be satisfied if Auburn was 34-14 over the same time frame? How many people will be yelling for Auburn's coach to be fired and be taken seriously if Auburn has gone 34-14? Like, think about that. We got to ask ourselves and we went there in the first segment. What should the standard be for Auburn? Obviously, you're playing championship level defense. You're a physical, hard-nosed team. You like to run the football, but you hired an offensive guy to fix an ailing offense that had issues before he got here.
Right.
Let's be clear. Auburn had issues offensively before Hugh Freeze ever set foot on the Plains. Here we are in year 3, and through 2 QBs, you can argue a third because he benched Peyton Thorne and brought in another guy to take his place temporarily. But through 2 starting QBs, Auburn's QB play has not improved. The offense is still struggling to score points. Did not score a lot of points against the SEC's worst defense yesterday. And you're still making it a controversy of whether or not you need to move on from a kid who was clearly a project that you brought in from Oklahoma.
Right.
No, he's not a good fit for where Auburn is trying to go because you are wasting a championship level defense. This is the type of defense that should have you in playoff contention. At a minimum, Mike, a mid offense keeps you in the playoff contention. Mid, not explosive. Vanderbilt has a mid offense. Vanderbilt isn't just running it up on people. They're efficient enough to score enough points with their defense to be in the game down the stretch and win it out.
Yeah.
That's all we're asking for Auburn to be at a minimum is mid, because that will win you Missouri. You would overcome some of your issues with some of the officiating in previous games. You probably beat Texas A&M with a mid offense.
Yeah.
You have an offensive-minded coach who can't even produce a mid offense. No, I don't think Hugh Freeze is a good fit for where Auburn is because you can't even produce an average offense, let alone an explosive one.
Yeah, it's again the message in years 1 and 2 were essentially wait until we get the players, and now you have the players, and you might be trending for essentially your year 1 results if you can't beat a ranked team down the stretch.
I saw this on a message board, and I had to go do the research myself.
Okay.
In 13 seasons where Hugh Freeze has been a head coach in college football, he has had a losing streak of 3 games or more in 8 seasons. This year, he had a 4-game losing streak. The first 3 years at Auburn, he's had 4-game losing streaks.
Yikes.
His last year at Liberty was a 4-game losing streak. In 2021, he had a 3-game losing streak. 2016, he had a 3-game losing streak. 2013, he had a 3-game losing streak. And in 2012, at Ole Miss, he had a 3-game losing streak. So at Ole Miss, he did it 3 times. Liberty, he did it 3 times with a 3-game losing streak. At Liberty, he had 1 3-game losing streak and 1 4-game losing streak his last year there. And at Auburn, he's had 4-game losing streaks every year he's been here. Is that the fit that you want for Auburn moving forward? Brian Kelly hasn't done that, and he's packing. He's packing his bags.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
Shoot,
I mean, you're right.
James Franklin didn't do that, and he's packing his bags. What's the standard?
No, you raise a good point. You raise a great point. What is the standard? Well, we want to hear from you. What is the standard? Hit the comments after the video. Let us know what you think the standard is. Is Hugh Freeze a good fit for Auburn? Is everyone figuring it out but Auburn, Florida, Arkansas, now LSU have all fired their coaches here around the midway point of the 2025 season. Again, we want to hear from you. And while you're in the comment section, do us a favor, smash that super thanks button. Your financial support helps keep the work that we're doing here going. Please hit like and subscribe. We are the War Report on every social media platform. We are TW Report on TikTok. Wild times ahead, Caesar. Potentially on the plains. We'll be back at you guys tomorrow with more Auburn Express. We're signing off, and as always, War Eagle.